What are we cooking today?
We're gonna make homemade chicken pot pie today.
These are the ingredients.
These are the ingredients. They should be, you know, pretty basic. Chicken pot pie doesn't take a lot of stuff. It just takes a little bit of time.
Sounds really hard though.
It does sound hard. It does.
Because there's the crust.
There's the crust. And the crust is, I think, intimidating. But once you do it one time, it's pretty straightforward, and that's what we're gonna do today. Because I was intimidated by it too.
Okay, so you got onions, white onions.
White onions. This is gonna go in with the chicken.
Wax paper.
Got some wax paper. That's
Eggs.
for the crust prep. Almond flour, because you know, like we said before, we like being carb friendly.
So this is kind of like a low carb.
Low carb chicken
Probably
pot pie.
gluten free too.
Gluten free for sure.
Low carb,
not no
gluten-free.
carb. There's definitely gonna be some carbs because we're using some almond flour, but it's definitely low carb.
But for the most part, I'm pretty sure it's low.
Low, yeah,
Like, I mean,
for sure.
Look at that. 5 grams. Come on. Live a little.
It's okay. It's okay. All right, so.
But if you wanted to, you could do all of this stuff with just regular white flour, bleached flour, right?
Totally. Most every chicken pot pie recipe is like white flour, because white flour definitely gives you more of that like fluffy, flaky crust than almond flour does, because it's just the nature of the flour. But you get a nice crunchy crust with almond flour. And what we found is sometimes actually almond flour gets a little more thicker than white flour. So, you know, yeah.
I like it this version because the crust is a little bit thicker and just more dense.
Dense, it feels more hearty, you know.
So we're doing onions right now.
Onions right now. This is gonna be for the chicken.
Okay, so we got some spices going on here. We got some ground pepper, and then you've already added some salt.
Added some salt, got some ground pepper, and I'm just cooking the onions like a little bit. I don't want them to get too sauteed because they're gonna continue to cook as we like cook the chicken, and once we put it all together in the oven and bake it. A little bit of garlic powder and a little bit of onion powder too. Normally I would add like some nice fresh minced garlic in here, but don't have any minced garlic.
So you're adding onion powder to the onions?
Yes, because we're gonna add chicken, and then the onion powder helps give the chicken flavor versus
okay, gotcha.
just biting into an onion. All right, chicken in.
Chicken thighs?
Chicken thighs in. Gotta wash my hands. All right, little more spices on the chicken. And then after that, oh yeah, turn the oven down, or the heat down. A little bit of Italian herbs, not a whole lot. Just, it gives it a nice comfort foodie feel. A little bit more onion powder and garlic powder, because that never hurts anybody. And you can't go wrong with spices and chicken pot pie, because you're gonna add a gravy, you're gonna add a broth, you're gonna add your crust to it. So even though it may seem like a lot of spices while you're cooking your chicken and your veggies, it really, the spices a lot kind of helps. I mean, don't go crazy obviously, but it doesn't hurt to add a little bit more than you feel like you should. All right, so you're gonna let that cook. I'm gonna cover this, and then now we're gonna go do our crust.
All right, so we're now at the crust station.
Crustation.
Crustation.
Crustation. Turn the oven on. It's very important. Bake. I typically do it about 375. You know, depends on the oven. All right, so the recipe that I have adapted, I guess, my crust from is the King Arthur almond flour pizza crust recipe. Look it up, free online. Basically what I'm doing is we need 3 cups of almond flour. I was just trying to line it up. Little bit more is fine. I'm always fine with a little bit more. And I was stirring it because, as you can see, it's a little bit clumpy. So I was just trying to fine it up. All right. Almond flour. Sea salt. Basically, use a fine salt. Just not crunchy coarse salt. White pepper. I like white pepper in the crust just because it has a little bit of a deeper flavor to me than black pepper, so it just complements the crust nicer in my opinion. A little bit of a splash of Italian spices, nothing crazy. Don't want it too Italian-y, but you definitely want that oregano flavor going on. A little baking powder. Fork it up again, just get it nice and
Mixed up.
Maybe work out a little bit more of those clumps. But you know, if it's clumpy, it's okay. It'll work out. And you can get a sifter if you want, go for it. But you know, we like to keep it simple even though it's fancy.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. You like how I worked that in?
Yes.
Make a little divot here. Now we're going to do some olive oil. I think the recipe calls for like 2 tablespoons. You know, I just pour. Because you can always correct stuff. If you get it too wet, you can add a little bit more almond flour, no big deal. If it's too dry, you add a little bit more olive oil. Again, I think, you know, in my opinion, people get intimidated by cooking because you see this long laundry list of things to do, and I'm not saying that you don't need to follow those things, especially if you're going to do like a souffle or like something like that takes a lot of chemistry and the right stuff. But when we're trying to do these nice comfort meals, like have fun with it, you know, like add some stuff that you know that you like or your family likes and just make it what you want. All right, so now we're gonna do 3 eggs. So the main thing here is, just like with any other pastry dish you're doing, cakes, crusts, cupcakes, cookies, you just wanna make sure that it's a nice, wet but usable consistency, right? We're gonna be making some like dough balls out of this, so you'll see in a minute. But while I'm stirring and just trying to kill some time while I'm stirring so I don't bore everybody, we're basically gonna make 6 dough balls with this. We're gonna make 3 kind of medium size that go into the lining of the this, whatever this is called, bowl. And then we're gonna make 3 smaller ones that go over the top, and hence you have a pie. So
Pizza pie.
Pizza pie. It's a pizzeria.
It's a chicken pot pie.
It's a chicken pot pie. Now we get our hands a little dirty, and then this is where you figure out if you need more almond flour or, you know,
whatever.
That thing. Which I probably will, because I probably poured a little bit too much olive oil, but hey, you can never have a little bit too much olive oil. And one thing that I didn't do that I usually do here was I actually usually pour a little bit of olive oil on my fingers, because it actually keeps this from happening. It's a nice little trick.
So we got the dough ready.
We got the dough ready.
We got the dough ready.
We got the dough.
And I can say it like this because I'm part Italian.
We're Italiano. So. Okay, so got the dough. Now we're gonna go turn the chicken off. We're gonna take it out. And by the way, it's okay if it's not 100% cooked. It maybe is probably best if it isn't, because you're gonna take the chicken, put it in the pot pie, and then you're gonna cook it in the oven for like another 15 minutes at least. So it might be good that it's not all the way through, so that way it doesn't get too dry. But the plus side, if it is all the way through, that's okay, because you're gonna be adding that little gravy inside the pot pie bowl. So it'll still stay moist, but anyways, yeah.
And it also helps that we're using thighs.
It also helps that you're using thighs.
With it not drying out.
Exactly. It'll definitely keep it from not drying out.
Look at that.
So here's our beautiful, wonderful looking chicken.
Yum.
Now, what's great about this is for chicken pot pie, you need a gravy, right? So what's really good about covering the chicken and cooking, and that's also why we added just a little bit of chicken broth, is like this happened. Now we have basically natural gravy. You don't have to go and get another pot, make another thing of gravy and do all that thing. You can use all of this kind of rendered juices from the chicken for your gravy for the chicken pot pie, which also makes it nice and simple, but fancy.
So we're back on dough duty.
Back on dough duty.
And you're just making dough balls.
Making dough balls, just trying to.
And these are going to be the bottoms and the tops, right?
Bottoms and the tops, yep.
Sweet.
Kind of fanning out the medium balls now. Make them nice and flat. Get them nice and round, and then I'm just gonna dump it basically into my buttered bowl. So something
look like this. That's pretty cool.
Something we didn't show is just make sure your pie dish or whatever you're using is buttered, so that way your pie crust doesn't stick to it. So I just kind of pre-buttered. What I do is use some wax paper, fan it out, just like you saw, place the wax paper over the bowl, and then just kind of fit it in. And you know, it's okay if it doesn't look perfect or doesn't fold in perfect, or if like a little piece breaks off, like it's totally fine. Because dough is fixable, it's pliable, it's like Play-Doh, so just work with it. And
just
voila.
have fun with it.
Just have fun with it, and then voila.
Now we're just dicing up the chicken.
Dicing up the chicken.
We're just filling these up.
Filling these bad boys up. Don't be shy with the chicken, fill it up.
Especially mine.
Mm-hmm.
Heard that.
Heard that.
I wish I didn't hear that, but I heard that.
Wish I didn't hear it, but I heard that. All right, it's gravy time. This is the sweet stuff. Okay, so most people will add flour to their gravy because they want it to thicken. Since we try to be keto friendly and low carb friendly, I don't do that. So I just add a little bit of cream, turn it on high, you know, let it boil down a bit. It won't be really gravy because we're not thickening it. Thickening it.
Thickening it.
Thickening.
Thickening.
We're not making it thick.
I like thickening it. Thickening it.
Thickening. Yeah. So turn the heat on high, let it boil, and then we'll be ready to pour this over the chicken in the pot pie. We got nice and boiled. So we're just gonna pour some over the top. Definitely make sure those onions get in there.
That looks good.
Looks great, huh? Wow, I really made a mess on that one. Didn't realize it. And leftover onions. Last but not least, toppers. So basically, same thing that we did with the bottoms. Just kind of flatten them out, have fun with it, get lost in the squishiness, top it off, and then we'll squinch the tops together.
So we're putting on the last topper spaniel.
Last one going on. And I like to leave the top with the finger marks in, just, you know, I don't know if anybody noticed that, but the reason why I do that is because I just kind of like how rustic and imperfect it looks. Just looks kind of like nice and homemade.
They look amazing.
Thanks. All right. Most important part of the baking process is make some holes. This helps let the steam out. All right, in the oven they go for at least 15 minutes. All right, here we go, ladies and gents.
I'm excited.
See how it looks.
Whoa.
Wow, look at that.
Love it.
Beautiful.
All right, get them out. Wow.
Looks good. I'm excited. I'm a crust person, so I gotta go for the crust first.
How's it
Look at
look?
that. Beautiful.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That good?
Nice and crunchy.
Let me see. Oh, wow.
Right?
It's almost like cookie-ish.
It's kind of crunchy, and then it's kind of a little doughy on the inside.
Wow.
All right. And I'm also a spoon person, so I go for spoons and not forks, but here we go. I can smell it.
Careful, not too hot.
Get in there.
Oh, wow, look at all that meat.
Look at all them juices.
Oh, that smells delicious. Careful.
That's amazing.
Amazing?
Mm-hmm. So good.
All right, let me take a bite.
Take a bite. This is my pot pie, by the way, so I'm allowed to double dip.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So good. Look at that. Kind of flakes right off.
That's really good.
You got the juices in there.
Hmm.
Kind of did a nice cuppy thing going on.
Yeah.
Man, it's one for the books.
Rocked it.
Mm-hmm. Rocked it.
Look at that crust. Wow, that crust with that onion on it. Take a bite of that.
Mm-hmm.
What's up with that?
Don't mind if I do.
Oh, those juices.
Watch this.
Oh. Wow.
Here you go. Comfort food, baby. So yummy.